Welcome to another episode of Five Lemons Laughing. I'm here with Drusilla and Melissa and Penny. Morgan is not here with us. We're sending her lots of love. Today's episode, we're talking about the courage to be seen. We all want to be loved, but are we willing to be truly seen? Because vulnerability can be like standing naked in a room with the lights on. Oh, I hate those streets where I'm walking down the street naked. I'm just saying.
I have them too.
Oh,
I have no clothes on. Oh my God.
oh my God. Because that really, showing up like that, showing up raw, that's real honesty.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't just get to love ourselves and others by showing up like that. We get to really transform.
Wow. Scary, scary stuff.
Scary.
Can be.
Mhm.
Yes, Amanda. So we're talking about emotional intimacy, not just like the romance novel kind, but the real soulful kind of love where, being connected to someone and not afraid to just show up and be 100% authentic, not afraid of being judged because you're not judging the other person, and just showing up as your true self, the true version of yourself instead of the polished, always got to be right, always got to be just dressed so, or hair just so, and all the things that we, have built up about ourselves, which are just barriers to love, to be honest about it. So on this episode, we're going to think about and talk about what happens when we let someone really see who we are. Just let our guards down and just be in our loving heart and allow whatever to come up. Let it just be. So today we want to talk about, what does being truly seen feel like, and why does it feel so scary to us?
Thanks, Drusilla. That's great. So I just wanted to reflect a little bit about like how we get programmed to be. It's very human. These things are very human. And I like to think about that because otherwise it's in my makeup to then start beating myself up because I'm not perfect like everyone else's outsides are. I'm thinking something's wrong with me because I have these, why don't they love me things. So I just wanted to mention that, like, from an evolution standpoint, we're wired to seek that attachment. Obviously, as infants, looking for someone to make sure we're taken care of and to have our caregivers' acceptance. And we have a nervous system, and that has evolved because of this. Like, it warns us and it helps us feel like when we might be threatened. And it really served us, before now. Now, sometimes we get stuck in that mode. So the other thing is that as we've evolved and in the families that we've been in, sometimes love feels conditional. So sometimes if we, bring good grades home, then everyone makes a big deal about it and we feel more loved, that kind of thing. So it's very human, but we don't have to, keep acting it out. I'm 55. I don't have to keep doing it. And with awareness comes, a way I can change that. But I wanted to talk a little bit about, like, I would say, my teenage mask. So with all of this, the wiring and everything, it showed up as a lot of pain in my teenage years. And so I've shared this before. I've just felt unlovable. I felt fat. I was like a size 12 when everyone else I knew was like a size 6. And so I was so embarrassed by my body. And I don't think it's just my body. It was just who I was in general. And so then I put on this mask of rebellion and anger, and it was an easier way to push people away. And so I didn't have to be rejected because I was out there rejecting the world. And then people just never got close to me. And so then the cycle continued. So I felt more unworthy. And then people left me alone. So I felt lonelier, which convinced me that something was completely wrong with me. And then later in life, I traded that rebellion for perfectionism because I got a lot of outside recognition because I could organize and I can speak in front of people and lead people. And I started learning that that is what was going to get me love. That was going to give me the attention that I was craving. And so I learned that if I could excel and serve others and put other people's needs before mine, then I'd finally be worthy of love. So that's what I put out. And I put out a happy face. I'm organized, all of that. But underneath, I was so sad and depressed. And just that in that same cycle of feeling really unlovable. So I think all of this created like a paradox. The paradox is that we hide ourselves to be accepted. And then the acceptance we receive never really feels real or authentic. And then it reconfirms to us that, we need to keep this mask on, that the real person inside is not good enough. And so you're just covering up that if you really saw me, you wouldn't love me. So for me, naked and in the room with the light on was please don't see me. And not just body, but like just don't see who I am because there's something wrong with me. And I did have some breakthroughs on that, but let's talk about other people's experiences before we get to like the breakthrough.
Well, I just want to jump in a second, Melissa, because I'm just going to age myself here for a second now, but I grew up with the Jetsons. It was a cartoon. And every time Jane Jetson had to get on the phone, because they had video phones in the Jetson time frame, she had her phone mask and she would put on a mask. She wouldn't have showered or dressed or anything, but then she had this mask she would put on to do when the phone rang and she needed to answer it. And so I thought, oh my gosh, that's exactly what you're talking about. We put on these masks because we think then everybody will think that our life is just wonderful. And yeah, we just put on these, masks. It's a facade, a total facade. So so that just, when you were talking, it just
That's funny. I love that.
Jane Jetson. Yeah.
Penny, I used to watch that too, but I don't remember that. Isn't it interesting? I didn't watch it a lot, but I'm going to have to go back and see that.
Oh, yeah, it was amazing. Yeah, she had a whole mask. I don't know how it worked, but she would just put on her beautiful face. Mm-hmm. Yeah. 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 I can totally relate to what you're all talking about today. I I think for me, it was a safety issue to not be vulnerable because I wasn't sure if I could safely reveal what was truly going on with me, because I thought, just like what you were saying, Melissa, that they wouldn't accept me because I was having a situation go on or whatever. So I kept a lot of it inside and never shared it with anybody. Though I do have to say that the Lemonettes have been a safe place for me to share stuff. Because I think once you start really building that trust and that, they're still going to love me anyway. Though I can still go into it too at times where I think I have to put on a facade. So yeah, I've experienced that most of my life too.
So that really does bring it back around to, and both Melissa and Penny, thank you for that background of like why we actually do this stuff. But so now I think all of us are in our 50s. Drusilla, I think you're are you in your, not yet?
Close to 60.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was like, Drusilla, I think you're the youngest.
I think you are, Amanda. No, Morgan is.
Morgan.
They're
40.
So now, and from this present time, what does real emotional intimacy mean to you? I'm just going to throw that question up in the air.
Wow. To me, it just means allowing me to express my thoughts, feelings, and emotions without feeling judged. Yeah. That's as basic as it gets for me. Like I want to not be able to, and I know that we all know because of, we've done recordings or podcasts on it that we know that the only reason we feel judged is because we're judging others. So I know the work starts with us, that just in terms of defining it, and what it feels like is that if I go out into the world, if they knew what I thought, they knew the things I've done in my past, if they knew all of these things about me, then they wouldn't love me, or they wouldn't treat me the same, or they wouldn't respect me, or they, all of that. And it feels like if I don't put on a facade, then there's no way that I could be successful in this world. I couldn't be loved. I couldn't be admired. And those are all the things that we want. Right. And, what I've come to feel in the more recent years is that, just kind of like how Melissa described it, that, yeah, it does appear that you're getting those things, but when you get them, it's like it doesn't hold water anyways. It doesn't, it can't sustain you anyways. So then when you start to peel back, it feels like your foundation is more solid. And so the situation with my husband is we've known each other. We've been together for 18 years. We've been married for 14. And it feels like just now, after a year of basically almost letting our marriage fall apart, we're now rebuilding with the more solid foundation of just being truly honest with each other about no matter what it is. Because we already know what it's like to hate you, to feel like you could walk out of the door at any moment, or I might walk out of the door at any moment, and that it can't get any worse than that. So why not just be vulnerable? Just be honest about it, And so, and that's what I, kind of said to him, was that, it just has to break. We just have to let it break. And so that you can rebuild on something that's more solid. And whether that's a friendship or a marriage, whatever it is, it's got to be real, it's got to be authentic. And that's the most important thing to me. So, and I found myself kind of trying to do the same thing with people outside of my marriage. With my son, it's a lot easier because, we kind of have this unconditional thing going on anyways. But my broader family, I would say it's definitely more challenging, because they kind of look at me like, who the heck are you? Because they're looking at someone kind of that they didn't grow up with or something. And they don't get as many opportunities to kind of see consistency. And so it can be a little, I'm sure, scary for them. And so it's a reflection of me that I still have the fear inside of that they may not accept me in the way that I truly authentically am.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can pretty much resonate with everything you said, Drusilla.
Especially on a spiritual path that might be different from other people's and your traditional one. I worry the same thing. Like if I really, come out with all of my spiritual stuff, am I going to still be part of the tribe? Is it going to upset people? Are they going to push me away? Accepted? Am I going to be accepted?
Yeah, that's really interesting that you say that, Melissa, because I was just on a almost 3-week vacation, and I don't think I spoke once about myself. Oh, I did once. I spoke once to someone about my spiritual journey, because it didn't seem like it fit,
Mm-hmm.
So it's really interesting. But we don't have to talk about what we're doing, really. We just do it, right?
Did you still feel authentic?
Did I still feel authentic? That's a really good question. I was kind of reflecting on that the last couple of days, and I think I was pretty much authentic. You know what I'm saying? Like, I have a cousin that I record the daily word of inspiration from Unity every day. And I was out in our friends from Germany in their backyard recording, and their daughter, 17-year-old daughter, came out and she heard me recording. And then she said, like, what was that? Like, and it wasn't a really God heavy one. Like, I don't think I said God once in it. And I was just telling her how it's the daily word of inspiration, blah, blah, blah. But it opened up the possibility of like, and I told her, I'm on this spiritual journey and blah, blah, blah. So, it did open up, but I kept it pretty hidden from everybody that I was doing this. My husband, sometimes he just thinks, whatever. Do you have to read about God? But he's pretty much getting used to what I do. But pretty much everybody else, I didn't really share much about anything. It just didn't seem to come up either. I'm going to look at that a little bit deeper. I don't think I was putting on any airs though, because I kept doing the work that I do, but it just didn't come up.
Penny, I think that's important, right? Because being inauthentic would be shoving something down somebody's throat, right? So that's not really intimacy either. Showing up, trying to change people is not allowing that intimate connection either. So that is a valid, I'm glad that you talked about that. And I want to circle back around to something Drusilla said at the beginning. She's not the exact quote, Drusilla, but you said something like not feeling judged. And it struck me like that is so different. It's like accepting the judgment, not feeling the judgment. It's not that judgments aren't present. It's not like, you're not being judged. It's the receiving of it. And I think that's an important distinction in like real intimacy, like really intimacy with yourself, like being so confident in yourself, showing up exactly as you are. And then you also mentioned like if we judge others, we feel that judgment. So if we're not judging the people around us, like Penny, like not pushing something down their throat to try to change them, then even if there is judgments in their minds about us, we're actually not receiving it. We're not feeling it. And that's huge, emotional intimacy, but it's also emotional strength. I don't know what the right word is, but I think that's something huge in this conversation.
I agree, Amanda. When I'm thinking about the vacation that my husband and I were just on, that I bet if we asked, so we tend to want to look at it from our perspective, right? That I didn't feel judged, so I was able to let my guard down. But I bet 100% he would say that he didn't feel judged, and that's why he was able to stay in his authentic self and be more loving to me, right? And so yeah, only because of being on this spiritual journey, I was able to say, unless I can be more aware of my thoughts about him, no matter who makes a mistake, there's tons of opportunities for one of us to get something wrong, right? That as long as I stay in my loving heart, then he's going to know that and he's not going to feel judged and it's going to be reflected back to me. And that's where I want to be in my life. We can't control what everybody else does and says. We can only control ourselves and our thoughts. But we have to trust that. And I think it's like almost this like little gray area. We have to trust that that is true. We have to know that that is true. And I think in studying the course, that's what it's grooming us for, the little miracles, not that they're size, but to just find a place where you can put trust in something that we perceive as a small little thing. And then it just keeps developing like a muscle and it gets stronger and stronger. I feel like it's taking me 15 years to be able to go on a 7-day vacation with my husband and not have a fight. Well, that's still a very big deal. I mean, it's kind of like starting out with, can we make it through half of a day? Or, can we make it through lunch? Can we make it through dinner? Can we, And so it's, it's a journey. And I think we both feel like that's a turning point. That's 100% a turning point in our marriage. And was it worth it? And does it impact every aspect of my life? Heck yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree, Drusilla. It's the muscle. It's that you start in the little safe places with the safe friend who you find is not critical and will listen to you and support you, and you broaden out to then, maybe your church group or a support group, and then you just keep trying this muscle out, keep seeing how much you can share of yourself without shutting down or putting your mask back on, and then I think you get to the point of just being able to really show the vulnerable parts.
Mhm.
And not to everyone. For me, it's not been out there to everyone in the world. It's been to safe places, safe people.
Yeah, that's an important distinction, Melissa. Yeah.
And at the same time, Melissa, I just want to, is that actually true, Melissa? I mean, we are on a podcast talking about some really vulnerable shit, and anyone can listen to it.
Yes,
So,
I was definitely lying about that.
yeah.
I was, yeah, not on purpose, but yes. But you know what? I'll say things like, as Drusilla was talking, I was thinking, was the share that I shared earlier too much? Like, or what are people going to say? Think about that. So in this moment in time, I shared, but still like had a double take. Like, what?
Self-doubt.
Pardon?
Self-doubt. You
Yeah.
doubted that it was
Yes.
appropriate, maybe.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
This is a real life example. So I
Mhm.
love it, Melissa. So it sounds like, correct me if I'm wrong, you did feel a little exposed, right? Because you were
Sure.
sharing. Yeah. And so walk us through mentally how you handled it.
Well, we do
Well,
know that it's airing, and we do know that anyone in the world can download it.
yeah.
And so, it's kind of like I can't pull those words back in my mouth. Um, but you know what? The self-doubt came from projection into the future.
Oh.
What if someone comes to me for counseling or something like that, and they hear me talk about when I was a teenager and a perfectionist, will I not be as credible? And so it was really more about like out there than right now, right here. Because right now, right here, I know this is going out, but I also know I'm safe in this group.
Mhm.
And also, I kind of have the like, oh, well, have,
Well, also, Melissa,
like,
though, too, I mean, you sharing that, I want to have a coach or a counselor that's shared the things that they've went through, because then I know you've had the experience and you can help me through it. So I think that sharing um, things vulnerably helps us to be more relatable to people. Like we're not somebody up on this pedestal that is better than or has the answers to it all, because we don't. I mean, that's the bottom line. And the quicker we can admit that we don't have all the answers, the better life can be.
and you know what that makes me think of, Penny, is what you helped me think of before, which is my wisdom is my superpower.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's the stuff I love to talk about, and that's the authentic me. But I do also, you know, as we're right in the moment here, I do also think, oh my gosh, is it bragging?
Mm.
It's just this like constant tennis of thoughts, back and forth and back and forth. And but the authentic person the authentic me talks a lot about spirituality, reads a lot about it, thinks a lot, writes a lot about it. Um, and like you, Penny, I don't necessarily keep it back when I'm in other situations, but I I don't it's not always right in front of me. So I'm also questioning myself, Penny, like, is this me pulling back on my authentic parts to be part of the group and to not upset people? Or am I riding the tide? Like, obviously, I'm not going to talk about it all the time, every day,
Mm.
every minute. and I can allow other conversations and other people and that kind of thing to have their interests. So, yeah, it's these are the workings of my mind.
And Melissa, those are great examples of how to handle it, right? When you feel yourself getting shifted out of that. I love that you mentioned future. I like the word futurizing. I don't think that's a completely made up word, but I like stuff like that.
Futurizing is great. That's a great word. And futurizing is just fear based on the past. So it makes sense that my discomfort from the past of not feeling good enough, not feeling like I belong or that I'll be accepted, that is what I project into the future in that situation, because I was fearful that that would happen again in the future.
Great example, Melissa.
Yeah, so I've been in a training course with some other coaches, and when they say, "Hey, share whatever," I just share, and everybody always goes, "Oh my gosh, Penny, thank you for being so vulnerable." And I'm thinking, well, that's just kind of who I'm, kind of an open book to begin with. And so, but I also recognize that I have some chapters that I've closed down too. Most of the chapters are open, but some of them are closed.
Yeah.
And so, but I feel, especially when I'm in a training situation, if I can't be vulnerable and authentic and real, then what am I doing? And so, yeah. And there are times, you asked Amanda, like, how do you handle that? What's your thinking process when you feel like you've overshared or you've really shared something about yourself that should have I or shouldn't have I? And so I actually I have to like coach myself and say, Penny, it's okay. Nothing's wrong. Nothing's going to happen because you shared this. Everything is okay. That's one of the things that I've been saying to myself this year. My older daughter has been very good at reminding me that everything is okay. Nothing is wrong here. So I might have said something that, I don't have it all together, but I don't have it all together. Even though I projected that perfectionism that I'm perfect. Like, of course, that's what people think, but it's really not true. And it's something that I've been, but working at, overcoming that I don't have to be perfect because I've said this before, but I learned it maybe 4 or 5 years ago, honestly, and I'm almost 65, that human beings are not perfect because I always thought I had to be perfect in order to be accepted and not judged. And so I've been working on blowing that up, this perfectionist persona, this perfectionist mask that I've put on. Yeah. And just being really Penny. Yeah.
I love that.
Can you hear my dog barking?
No, we can't.
Okay, good. He's got something going on.
Real life stuff is happening, right?
Yeah.
All around us every day.
Yeah. One of the things too, I wanted to just interject here, and it's kind of changing the subject a little bit. But when I was doing leadership coaching, which I could do still today, but I wanted to just share that one of my clients, she was just awesome, but she spent so much time getting ready to leave the house, like making sure she was showered, her hair was done perfectly, her makeup was perfect, and that her, dressed perfectly. And so I gave her the challenge. She did it. But I gave her the challenge of just putting on your sweat clothes and going out into the world. Don't wash your hair, maybe brush it, but don't wear a hat. Just go out into the world and just be authentically who you are before you put on all these masks. And that was a big turning point for her. So there are times too when like yesterday when I was traveling back, I showered, but I didn't wash my hair and I just brushed it and I went. I said, screw it. I don't care what people think. I am traveling for like the whole day. So that is a small step that if you are a person that feels like you have to look a certain way before you leave your house, just stop doing that for one day, just one time, and just see how, if anybody like doesn't like you anymore or whatever. I don't know how to, Yeah. So it's kind of a fun little thing to try on.
Yeah.
And see how it
Like your
goes.
confidence muscle.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a good point, Melissa, right? Building the confidence muscle, right? Because that's confidence in ourself. That's where safety is. That the feeling of safety in ourselves is what allows us to like risk being right. So,
Mhm.
um, and so Penny, that's a great one example of how we build that safety muscle. Yeah. Any other thoughts on how we build that confidence in ourselves so we can risk being seen as
Yeah.
like our true authentic self?
Yeah. It's that self-esteem.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Getting it from the outside.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
think we've talked a lot about like self-parenting and what Penny does. It's okay, Penny. You know, you got her self-talk. And um, yeah, I mean, in the very heart of it, you're never going to get it from the outside.
Mm-mm.
Right.
So we're just like, we're worried about what people will say and think and do, but really most people won't say and do and react and reject you and that kind of thing. But all of it can go away if you stop looking outside of yourself and parent yourself. And that's when all the confidence blooms and taking steps you wouldn't and being more authentic and showing up and telling your truth. And yeah, when you're just giving it to yourself.
Beautifully said, Melissa.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. How about you, Amanda? Got any examples where you
How
have?
to build that muscle in myself
Yeah,
to
like
show
how do you do it for yourself?
that is a good danged old question.
You were being kind of silent.
Yeah.
I was asking a lot of really good questions.
You were. And that's a good coach.
Yeah.
Yep.
I guess that, that's a great example right there is, I try not to take life too seriously. I try to laugh when I can. And then also, I think one of the big things that what's coming up for me right now is, oversharing. I don't feel like I have to overshare as much. Like I'm comfortable in the silence. I'm getting more comfortable in the silence. And so my self-talk is, like, um, this person doesn't have to agree with me. I don't have to share my opposing opinions right now. So that's how I am building that self-esteem by not actually going, oh my God. Well, if they're right, like that's something different, right? Like just opposing opinions are one thing. I am open enough to listen to a different view. And if I then come to find my view could switch, that's one thing. But just in general talk, like knowing who I am, like practicing that, like practicing not bending over backwards, practicing not um, oversharing. That's how I am building that muscle, allowing people to be themselves and me be me and being comfortable in it.
Nice.
Yes.
Sounds like acceptance.
Love that.
It does. It is. Thank you. Thank you, Penny. And Melissa, I think that's the theme for the year, acceptance.
If we all did that, though, it would be a very quiet podcast.
Yeah. Boring. It would be a little boring. Yeah.
Maybe not. Who knows?
Mhm. Be a podcast about meditation, and meditation is that big.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But no, what it said to me, Amanda, is that it felt like you were describing a safe place.
Mm.
You know,
Mhm.
that's what it felt like. Like if I'm ever around you, even though you might oppose. And I have friends that I've felt this with, right? It's not something we talk about because we don't have these types of conversations. But if this is a person who maybe they have opposing views or thoughts, and I know that, or vice versa, they know that about me, we still know that it's always going to be a safe place to talk. And that is, to me, true intimacy.
And, I've noticed too that when it's not safe is when I start to think I have to save or fix somebody.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I do that a lot with my husband. I'm going to work on that this week. I think I have to give him the answers. And I don't.
Yeah.
He just wants to talk and work things out, I guess.
Yeah. If we go back to like projecting, like if you're not projecting judgments on somebody, then that allows us not to judge ourselves. And it also like not trying to, I love that, not trying to fix and change somebody else, because that's not allowing them to be vulnerable. If we are constantly telling somebody that they're not right, that what they're doing is not right, that doesn't allow them to be vulnerable, which doesn't allow ourselves to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And Penny, you're not alone. I got a big dose of, you're always trying to tell me to do something different. I'm like, I thought I stopped that a long time ago, but
what? Little old me?
What? No. Oh yeah. I still participate in that.
You have to be honest, right? It's all about honesty.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any other tips or tools that anybody has that can help our listeners to feel safe in their vulnerability?
I think we're good.
Good. We are good.
I feel very safe. So.
Yeah. There you go.
Just sitting here with nothing to say.
Sounds like it's
projecting safety right now.
Safe.
Well, and in our defenselessness, our safety lies, right? One of my favorite ACIM lessons. Yeah. I love that lesson. Yeah. Well, you guys, I feel a little rusty with my pennies Post-its today. I've been kind of combining shit. So the first one I wrote was "Stay in Your Loving Heart," and then I just added it's a safe place. Actually, if we can stay in our loving heart, we build safety for ourselves and others. And so I just added that. And then the other one I started out with, and I was going to not even say I have none today, but be confident in myself. So when I'm confident in myself, then that builds the confidence muscle, and then I don't have to judge myself, and then I'm not judging others. And it's just like it's a beautiful thing when we stop judging ourselves, because then we stop judging others too. And then look inside for the answers. I mean, that's a big one. Yeah. So that's what I've got. Did anybody think of their own Post-its that they wanted to add? Because that's what I've got. Next week, I promise. I'll be more.
Penny. You did great.
It was perfect, Penny. Those two things really.
Oh my gosh, look at me judging myself. Oh. See how easy it is? Oh my gosh, it's so easy to just go back into self-doubt and self-judgment and lack of love for myself. It was perfect. Perfect Penny. Oh, that was a nickname that I had. I hated it because I didn't want to be Perfect Penny. And so, when one of my siblings would say that to me, I'd go, "Urgh." Yeah. Anyway, so we'll wrap this up though right now. So next week, we're going to be talking about becoming more than your story. Because look at me, I was just going into my story a little bit. And so we're going to be unpacking that, becoming more than your story, how to rebuild spiritual and emotional trust when your heart's been broken. Maybe, is that part of it? No, that might be something old. Well, we're going to talk about how to become more than your story. So thank you again for being with us today. We truly, truly love sharing our spiritual journey with you. You're not alone. You never were. You never will be. I mean, we always have a higher power guiding us if we are willing to tap into it. So just remember, your transformation is our greatest joy. So we'll see you next time on Five Lemons Laughing. Have a beautiful rest of your day.
Bye.
Bye-bye.